Throughout history, many people have achieved things that once seemed impossible. Some break records, some push the limits of human endurance, and some struggle against the limits of their own bodies. But a story that took place in Scotland in 1965 completely changed the way people thought about how long the human body could endure without food. It is the story of a man named Angus Barbieri, who survived for 382 days without eating any solid food. 1 year and 17 days. Only water, tea, and coffee. And a human body proving just how far it can adapt in order to survive. Angus Barbieri was born around 1938 or 1939 in the town of Tayport, Scotland. His family was of Italian origin and operated a small fish and chips shop. From an early age, Angus struggled with his weight. As he grew older, the number on the scale continued to rise, and everyday tasks became increasingly difficult. Simple activities like walking through a doorway or moving comfortably in public places became a challenge. Ordinary life was slowly becoming impossible. In 1961, Angus wanted to attend a football match at Wembley Stadium. However, he encountered a problem before he could even enter. The stadium turnstiles were too narrow for him to pass through. Eventually, the police had to assist him through the gate. At that time, Angus weighed about 207 kilograms. Living a normal life had become extremely difficult. In June of 1965, at the age of 27, Angus decided that something had to change. He went to Maryfield Hospital in Dundee and asked to see a physician named Dr. William Stewart. When he sat down with the doctor, Angus made a bold statement. He said, "I want to lose this weight without eating." Dr. Stewart was surprised by the idea. At first, he imagined a short period of fasting, perhaps a few days or maybe a week under medical supervision. However, Angus insisted on continuing longer. When the experiment began, something remarkable happened. Angus began losing weight quickly, and his body adapted far better than anyone expected. Seeing these results, Dr. Stewart agreed to allow the fast to continue while carefully monitoring his health. The hospital staff began conducting regular medical examinations and blood tests to make sure his body could handle the extreme situation. The first days were not as difficult as many people might imagine. Although the fast began under hospital supervision, Angus soon returned home. He stayed away from his father's fish and chips shop because the smell of food could have made the process unbearable. Instead, his life changed completely. His daily routine now consisted only of tea, coffee, and water. Doctors also provided electrolyte supplements and essential vitamins to maintain the chemical balance of his body. Yeast was added as a source of essential amino acids. That was all he consumed. Weeks passed. From the outside, Angus appeared to be living a relatively normal life. He continued visiting the hospital regularly for blood tests and medical monitoring. Each time the results came back, the doctors were surprised. His blood chemistry showed no dangerous abnormalities. His electrolytes remained stable, and his blood sugar levels stayed within acceptable ranges. His body had begun to adapt in a remarkable way. The large reserves of fat stored in his body had become his new source of energy. His metabolism had shifted to burning those fat reserves to keep him alive. Months passed, and by the time half a year had gone by, everyone around him was astonished. Friends, family members, and doctors all wondered the same thing. Could this really continue? But Angus remained focused. He had a goal. His target weight was 180 pounds, which he believed would be a healthy and manageable weight for his body. Reaching that goal meant he could live a normal life again. It meant being able to move freely, work, and enjoy everyday activities that had once been impossible. So he continued. As the first year approached, the medical reports remained surprisingly stable. According to the doctors, there were still no serious side effects. His body continued burning fat reserves while maintaining stable blood chemistry. The human body had entered an extreme metabolic adaptation. However, something else was also changing. As the months passed, Angus gradually lost his desire for food. When people asked him about taste or cravings, he often seemed indifferent. Food no longer held the same meaning for him. His body had adapted so deeply to fasting that the idea of eating simply faded into the background. At one point during the fast, around the 5th month, His blood sugar dropped to approximately 2 millimoles per liter. For most healthy people, such a low level could lead to coma. Yet Angus remained conscious and stable. His body had shifted into a metabolic state known as ketosis. Instead of relying on glucose, his body was producing ketones from fat. These ketones became the brain's primary source of energy. Another unusual concern eventually emerged. Because Angus consumed no solid food, his digestive system produced almost no waste. Doctors began asking him about his bathroom habits. When they asked how long it had been since he had used the toilet, Angus answered calmly, "About 40 days. In some cases, it was even longer." His body had adapted to producing almost no waste material at all. The seasons continued to change. Autumn of 1965 passed into winter. Winter turned into spring of 1966. Throughout all those months, Angus continued the same routine: black tea, black coffee, and water. Toward the final months, the doctors allowed him to add a small amount of milk and sugar to his tea, but he still consumed no solid food. Finally, on June 30th, 1966, Angus reached his goal weight. The scale showed 180 pounds, approximately 82 kilograms. The fast had lasted 382 days, 1 year and 17 days. He had lost 276 pounds, about 125 kilograms. The transformation was astonishing. People who had known him before could hardly recognize him. After reaching the target weight, the doctors slowly began preparing his body to eat again. For about 10 days, he was allowed to consume small amounts of milk and salt to help his digestive system adjust. Then, on the morning of July 11th, 1966, Angus ate his first solid food in 382 days. It was a simple meal: a boiled egg and a slice of bread with butter. Journalists and photographers were waiting nearby. They asked him how he felt. Angus replied with a smile, "I had almost forgotten what food tastes like. It went down easily. I feel a little full, but I enjoyed it." He continued eating small meals afterward, and surprisingly, his body tolerated food well. He occasionally felt full very quickly and experienced mild stomach discomfort, but there were no serious complications. His body had successfully returned from the extreme metabolic state it had been in for more than a year. After the experiment ended, Angus's life changed dramatically. He eventually moved to Warwick, started a family, and had 2 sons. Years later, in 1973, doctors checked his weight again. He weighed around 196 pounds and showed no serious long-term health complications. Angus Barbieri later passed away in 1990 at the age of 52 after a short illness, but his story left a lasting mark on the scientific world. The Guinness Book of World Records recognized his achievement as the longest medically supervised fast in history. In 1973, Dr. William Stewart published a medical report describing the case as a successful therapeutic fast lasting 382 days. The case demonstrated how the human body can survive for extended periods without solid food when sufficient fat reserves and medical supervision are present. However, doctors also issued a strong warning. Angus had been severely obese, meaning his body contained enormous fat reserves that could be used as energy. A person with a normal body weight would not survive such an extreme fast. Without sufficient energy reserves, the body would eventually suffer organ failure, heart complications, or death. Over the years, a few people attempted to replicate similar fasting experiments, but many of those attempts ended in serious illness or death. Because of the risks, Guinness World Records stopped recognizing fasting records in 1997. No one has officially attempted to break Angus Barbieri's record since then. When people remember Angus today, they often see his story in 2 ways. On one hand, it demonstrates the incredible adaptability of the human body. On the other hand, it serves as a powerful warning. The human body can endure extraordinary extremes, but every extreme has its limits. Angus Barbieri will be remembered as the man who achieved something that seemed impossible, and at the same time, as proof of how dangerous the impossible can be.